I was born a daughter of privilege, but I fell head over heels for Finn, a boy from the wrong side of the tracks. I spent 5 years by his side, weathering every storm, sharing every meager meal. Finally, the day came when he was going to marry me. But on our wedding day, he ran off to go hiking with his first love, Fiona. I became the biggest joke in the entire city. She, on the other hand, posted a picture to her social media. Waited for the wind, waited for the rain, now I'm waiting for you. To walk hand in hand for the rest of our lives. The accompanying photo was of a man's and a woman's hands, fingers intertwined. I didn't hesitate. I left a comment directly under her post. Well then, may the bitch and the dog live happily ever after. Finn's call came almost immediately. He roared into the phone. Celeste, are you insane? Get over here and apologize to Fiona right now. A cold laugh escaped my lips. Finn, let's get a divorce. I'll let you have each other. The mention of divorce sent him into another tirade. You want a divorce just because I cancelled the wedding? Celeste, do you have any sense of priority? Fiona was having a depressive episode. She was threatening to jump off a building. That's why I had to go with her, to take her hiking and get some fresh air, he bellowed. All that happened to you was a cancelled wedding. If I hadn't gone to her, she could have died. Listening to his frantic justifications, a sour taste filled my mouth. This was the man I had chosen, the man for whom I had abandoned my family's fortune and a life of ease. This wedding was meant to make up for the one we couldn't afford when we were poor. Now, even this make-up ceremony had been torn away from me. For 5 years, I had lived with him in makeshift shelters and survived on stale bread. We had clawed our way up until his career finally took off. I thought our struggles were over, that we could finally live a happy, peaceful life together. But all it took was one phone call from Fiona, his recently returned ex, for him to abandon me at the altar and turn me into a citywide laughingstock. Just as my heart turned to ice and I was about to hang up, Fiona's soft, cloying voice came through the line. Celeste. I'm so sorry. It was my fault for being so emotional and making Finn cancel the wedding. Please don't blame him. I just didn't realize that after all these years, I still couldn't let him go. I'll try my best to get myself together. I, who had always prided myself on my composure, could no longer contain my fury at her saccharine, manipulative words. I forced down the urge to scream and laced my voice with sarcasm. If you can't let him go, then marry him. He's my second-hand cast-off. Consider him a gift. My voice was dripping with ice. And again, I wish you two scoundrels a long and happy life together. I hung up before the delightful couple could utter another word. It was late at night when Finn finally returned, looking windswept and weary from his mountain excursion. He stormed through the door and immediately began shouting. Celeste. I never knew you could be so vicious, so vile. I was just helping Fiona clear her head with a hike, and you had to say such disgusting things. Are you even human? His face was contorted with rage. Do you have any idea how fragile she was today? Because of your call, she almost threw herself off a cliff. I'm warning you. First thing tomorrow morning, you are going to her house and you are going to apologize. If you don't, I won't let you off the hook. Finn had always been a reserved man. We had argued before, but he had never looked at me with such raw, unrestrained fury. To know that this intense emotion was for another woman felt like swallowing a dead fly. I was nauseous with disgust. Suppressing the knot of pain in my chest, I looked at him calmly and let out a cold laugh. You won't let me off the hook? And how do you plan to do that? Beat me to death? Or perhaps you'd prefer to dismember my body? I can't be bothered to waste my breath on you. Just remember, tomorrow, you apologize to Fiona. With that, he stormed into the bathroom. When he returned to the bedroom, I handed him the freshly printed divorce papers. I've already signed them, I said. It's your turn. Finn froze, taking the papers numbly, his eyes wide with disbelief. You're serious? My eyes mocked him. Finn, we've been together for 5 years. When have you ever known me to joke about things like this? He tossed the papers onto the nightstand and climbed into bed, wrapping his arms around me from behind. His tone softened. Come on, Celeste. I know canceling the wedding was sudden, but you saw the state Fiona was in. She was talking about life and death. I grew up with her, she's like a little sister to me. I couldn't just stand by and do nothing. He nuzzled my neck. I promise, once Fiona's emotions have stabilized, I'll give you an even grander wedding. The grandest this city has ever seen. I struggled out of his embrace with all my might, moving to the far side of the bed. I didn't say another word, but tears, hot and traitorous, streamed down my face. I met Finn our freshman year. My tycoon father, worried my identity would make it difficult for me to blend in at school, had enrolled me as an ordinary student. The problem was, having never experienced poverty himself, he had overdone it. My persona was that of a clueless, poor country bumpkin. On the first day, I wore a floral cotton shirt that even actual rural residents wouldn't be caught dead in, paired with ancient-looking cloth shoes he'd found somewhere. He even had his assistant buy a massive urea sack online for me to carry my luggage in. He made me get out of the Rolls-Royce blocks away from the university and drag my urea sack through the main gates. It worked. I immediately became the center of attention, a charity case for the entire student body. Unsurprisingly, I also became a target for ridicule from the wealthier students. One rich kid snatched my sack and stomped on it, humiliating me in front of everyone. No one came to help me. And then, Finn appeared. He was wearing a ripped old t-shirt, and the urea sack on his back was covered in patches. He was the only person poorer than me, but he was also, by far, the most handsome guy in our year. When his tall frame stood in front of me, when he effortlessly lifted the skinny rich kid and tossed him aside, he became my hero. That was the day we met. And what girl doesn't love a hero? From that moment on, it was love at first sight for me. I pursued him relentlessly. University romances are pure and simple. His good looks attracted many other girls. My persona, however, made me completely unattractive, a dusty, provincial clod. I chased him for 4 years, but he never gave in. To his credit, he never dated anyone else either. His excuse was always his poor, rural background. He needed to focus on his studies, to pave a way for his future. He had no time, no energy, and certainly no money for romance. I was deeply moved. What trust fund kid I knew had that kind of ambition? His rejection didn't deter me, it only made me more determined. Money was the one thing I had in abundance. A man with his drive and ambition was exactly what I was missing. Graduation came. My father arranged for me to start at the bottom of our family's corporate empire, Moonlight Group. The night before we left campus, I found Finn on the athletic field, drinking himself into a stupor. He told me that a prestigious company that had planned to hire him had rescinded the offer. The background check had revealed a demerit on his school record, for fighting the rich kid who had bullied me. I was consumed with guilt. But it was just a job, something I could fix with a single phone call. I immediately promised him that I had been hired by Moonlight Group and could recommend him for an interview. He was ecstatic, hugging me and thanking me profusely. Perhaps it was the soft, tender night, but he was suddenly overcome with emotion. His eyes burned into mine as he asked me to be his girlfriend. With tears of joy and gratitude, I solemnly said, I do. What I didn't know then was that the real reason for his despair wasn't the lost job. It was the news that his first love, Fiona, who was abroad, had broken her promise to return and marry him after graduation. She had found a new boyfriend overseas. A shrill ringtone shattered my reverie. Finn fumbled for his phone under the pillow. His brow furrowed instantly, and he got up and left the room to take the call. It was Fiona, of course. A few minutes later, he came back, hastily changing his clothes to go out. He saw my wide, cold eyes watching him and raised a hand in a clumsy gesture. You're still awake. Fiona, I know, I cut him off. Go. He nodded and left without a backward glance. This wasn't the first time. Since Fiona's return a month ago, his phone was a constant stream of her messages and calls. It didn't matter if he was working, resting, or sleeping, or if we were in the middle of our own wedding ceremony. One summons from Fiona, and he would drop everything and run to her side, ready to walk through fire. In 5 years of marriage, I had never dared to trouble him with my problems. The first year, when I was still learning to cook, the gas stove exploded. I was knocked unconscious, but I woke up and called for an ambulance myself, not wanting to disturb him. The third year, I was hit by a tricycle and broke my leg. I took a taxi to the hospital alone. And 2 years ago, when I was pregnant for the first time, I fell at home and miscarried. It was my best friend who rushed me to the hospital. I knew his startup was demanding. I didn't want to take a single second of his precious time. But the husband I was so reluctant to bother was at Fiona's beck and call like a trained animal, and he seemed to relish it. Thinking about it now, what was the point of loving him so carefully, so meekly? I wiped the cold tears from my face and glanced at my phone. Fiona had posted again. I find myself needing this man more and more, but he's already married. What should I do? The picture was of her, weeping beautifully, nestled against Finn's broad shoulder. If, for the past month, I had known about their rekindled flame and still held out hope for his return to his senses, that hope was now extinguished. Without hesitation, I commented. I've already agreed to a divorce to make room for you. Now you just have to convince him to leave me and marry you. I expected another furious phone call. This time, none came. I laughed bitterly to myself. He probably couldn't even be bothered to argue anymore. The silent treatment was his go-to tactic, his way of waiting for me to crawl back and apologize. But he was in for a disappointment. This time I wasn't playing his game anymore. It was a sleepless night. I packed everything that belonged to me. Then I booked a one-way ticket to Phuket. The next morning, I was at the airport. I didn't go running to my father to reconcile and reclaim my identity. Not yet. I needed this time, this quiet place, to clear my head and figure out what to do with the rest of my life. After graduation, Finn and I had both started as interns at Moonlight Group. Life was stable. One weekend, I went home and told my father I wanted to marry Finn. He refused outright, not only forbidding the marriage, but demanding I break up with Finn. I was young, arrogant, and blinded by love. We had a massive fight. The next day, Finn was fired. I knew it was my father's doing. From that day on, I cut off all contact with him. Without my family's financial support, I became genuinely poor. We couldn't even afford rent. For 6 months, we lived in a tent under a bridge. But Finn was incredibly hardworking. He registered a shell company, and we hustled for business ourselves. The first 3 years were hell. We'd often spend late nights drinking with clients to close a deal, only to return to our tiny rental and vomit until we were empty, with nothing but stale bread and pickles to eat. In the last 2 years, his company finally started turning a profit. We bought a large, 3-bedroom apartment in the city. After 5 years of hardship, we were finally living a decent life. A month ago, Finn suggested we have the wedding we never had. But just as we set the date, Fiona returned from abroad. The story was that she'd broken up with her boyfriend of 5 years and wanted to pursue her career back home. From the moment she returned, Finn was a different person, distracted and absent-minded, as if his soul had been stolen away. He completely forgot about the woman who had spent 5 years by his side. For the past 2 years, at his request, I had become a full-time housewife to support his career. I cooked for him, cleaned for him, and managed every aspect of his life. He was the successful CEO to the outside world. At home, he was an emperor. He had grown accustomed to my subservience, my caution, taking my sacrifices for granted. He forgot that before him, I was a wealthy heiress whose life was infinitely better than his. I had endured the physical exhaustion and emotional neglect for 5 years. But I could not endure him rekindling his romance with Fiona while treating me like thin air. When all my disappointments finally piled up, they turned into despair. I was tired of living a life devoid of value. From now on, I would live for myself. Pushing those chaotic thoughts aside, I focused on the turquoise sea and the white sand in front of me. Just then, my phone rang. It was Finn. I hesitated, then answered. His panicked, frantic voice flooded the line. Celeste. Why is everything of yours gone from the house? Where are you? Why does my phone say you're roaming internationally? I listened to his questions in silence, my voice flat when I finally responded. I'm divorcing you, to make space for you and Fiona. As for where I am, that's none of your business. Have you signed the divorce papers? Are you waiting for me to come back and finalize things, or what? Finn's tone immediately softened. Celeste, there's really nothing between me and Fiona. I just see her as a sister. Please don't overthink this. Just come back, okay? We can talk properly, clear everything up. I said nothing. I just hung up the phone. In the past, I had always waited for him to hang up first. He had once joked, when you hang up first, it makes me feel like you don't love me as much. Now, I didn't care. What he felt was no longer important. He called back immediately. I turned my phone off. Celeste? Is that really you? What a surprise to see you here. A vaguely familiar voice sounded beside me. I took off my sunglasses and looked over. It was Julian Xing, the heir to the massive Xingshi group, one of the most powerful conglomerates in the region. He had pursued me in college. Our families were old friends, and he was the only person at university who knew my true identity. Back then, he was a notorious playboy. As handsome as he was, I had no interest. But I'd heard he had matured in recent years, taking over his family's company and achieving considerable success. I sat up from my beach chair and greeted him. What a coincidence. It's been 5 years. I hear you've been making some big moves in business. Julian winked, his charming eyes crinkling at the corners. He raised an eyebrow. Well, you know how it is. It's easy to find shade under a big tree. Standing on my father's shoulders makes business a breeze. Nothing to be too proud of. Hey, but what about you? I heard you stubbornly married that poor kid Finn and became a housewife. TSK, what a waste of talent. You were the top student in our finance department, you know. I just smiled wryly. You're mourning my loss a bit prematurely. I'm only 27. Who's to say I can't pick up my major again and make a comeback? You'd better watch out. Our families are in the same business. Don't let me crush you. Julian roared with laughter. That's fantastic. Bring it on. Let me see how formidable this dark horse can be. I was just complaining about the lack of competition. He paused. Wait a minute. Why are you here by yourself? Where's your broke-ass husband? Isn't he with you? I sighed. The broke-ass husband has grown wings and flown back to his first love. I'm in the middle of a divorce. Julian's eyes lit up. He knelt in the sand in front of me, his gaze intense. Hey. You're getting a divorce? Then how about you consider me? My 18th girlfriend and I broke up 6 months ago. I'm really tired of these adult games. I'm looking to settle down with someone, and I think we'd be perfect together. I speechlessly shoved him over onto the sand. Give it a rest, Mr. Xing. I came to Phuket for some peace and quiet. Don't cause trouble for me. Go find that blonde over there, she's been staring at you. But Julian stuck to me like glue. One moment he was buying me ice cream, the next he was walking with me along the beach. That evening, he treated me to a romantic candlelight dinner at a trendy restaurant. I had nothing better to do, and he was exceptionally good at charming women, so I played along. I had a bit too much red wine that night and went back to my hotel early. The next morning, I woke up to find the entire internet had exploded. I hadn't realized that Julian Xing, the playboy, wasn't just a darling of the business world. He was also a favorite subject of the entertainment media and a massive internet celebrity himself. He loved to flaunt his wealth and his girlfriends online. His type was exclusively plastic surgery-perfect influencers and minor starlets, which made him a goldmine for traffic-hungry gossip columnists. And I, unlucky me, had spent a few hours on the beach with him and had one dinner. That was all it took for the paparazzi to pounce. The headlines were sensational and terrifying. Playboy heir dumps influencer girlfriend for mystery married woman. Julian Shing spotted on romantic dinner with recently separated housewife. Rumor has it the mystery woman is Shing's college classmate, suspected of cheating on husband. The glaring headlines made me want to throw my phone across the room. My personal social media accounts had been swarmed overnight. A single, old post of mine had tens of millions of new comments. My inbox was flooded with messages, and my phone was blowing up with calls from relatives and friends, all asking about Julian. As I sat there, paralyzed with shock, there was a knock on the door. I shot up in bed. Who is it? Celeste, it's me. Open up. It was Julian. A wave of fury washed over me. I threw on a robe and yanked the door open, immediately launching myself at him, punching and kicking. Julian Shing, you menace. You're going to be the death of me. Why didn't you tell me people follow you around taking pictures? Now I'm the woman who cheated on Finn with you. Hey, stop hitting me, he yelped, dodging my blows. How was I supposed to know the paparazzi would follow me all the way here? I came to this island to escape them. I'm the unlucky one here. We wrestled until we were both exhausted, collapsing onto the sofa, glaring at each other. So, I said, breathing heavily. How are we going to fix this? Fix what? The media buzz will die down in a few days. The public will get bored and move on. I shot up again. What? You caused this massive problem, ruined my reputation, and you're not going to help me clear my name? Finally, under my intense pressure, he agreed to post a clarification on his Weibo account, where he had tens of millions of followers. To all my followers, I admit, I am pursuing Celeste. She has already signed divorce papers with her husband. We ran into each other by chance in Phuket today, had a chat, and shared a meal. Nothing untoward happened. Please do not misunderstand or harass her. Thank you. When I saw that he had deliberately added that he was pursuing me, I almost exploded again. This guy was determined to stir up trouble. But I was too tired to argue about such trivial matters. I let it go. I had no interest in dating anyone, especially not a playboy like him. After posting the clarification, he wanted to take me jet skiing. I was about to refuse when Finn's call came through. I knew he must have seen the entertainment news. I sighed and answered. As expected, Finn's furious voice erupted from the speaker. Well done, Celeste. I'm impressed. No wonder you were in such a hurry to divorce me. You've already hooked the heir to Xingshi Group. So you two had a thing back in college. He might be richer and better looking than me, but does he really love you? Don't you know he's a playboy who toys with women? I listened in silence. When he finally stopped yelling, he asked, baffled, are you listening to me? Yes, I'm listening. I heard everything. Are you done? Good. Now it's my turn. I know what kind of person Julian is better than you. Do. Yes, he chased me in college, but I turned him down. And yes, he's richer and better looking than you, that's true. But I haven't agreed to date him now, either. The cheating rumors are fabricated by gossip magazines. His clarification on Weibo is true. The part about him pursuing me is his own one-sided fantasy, which I can't control. But I can control myself. Do you understand? I could hear Finn's ragged breathing on the other end as he processed my words. After a long pause, he spoke again. Fine. If that's the case, then you come back. Prove to me that what you're saying is true. I almost laughed out loud. Prove what to you? That I still love you? Are you delusional, Finn? Have I let you play the king for so long that you've forgotten your place? Let me tell you something. Even if I don't date Julian, it doesn't mean I have to stay with you. The divorce is happening. That's final. I'm hanging up. Don't call me again unless it's to finalize the divorce. In 5 years, I had never spoken to him with such force, such assertiveness. I was only now realizing how liberating it was to speak your mind to someone you despised. Just as I was about to hang up, his voice came through, pleading. No, no. Celeste, don't hang up. The only way you'll come back is to discuss the divorce, right? Fine. Come back now, and we'll talk about the divorce. I paused, unsure if he was being genuine or just trying to lure me back. Just then, Julian snatched the phone from my hand. You'd better mean it, he snarled into the phone. I'm coming back with Celeste. If you dare to trick her, I'll make you regret it. He hung up and looked at me, his eyes gleaming with pride. How was that? Wasn't my takedown of that scumbag totally badass? I was utterly speechless. After dodging this pest for 4 years in college, I was stuck with him again 5 years later. I sighed and booked my flight back. No matter what, getting that divorce certificate was the crucial final step in cutting Finn out of my life for good. I booked a ticket for that same day, deliberately on a different flight from Julian to avoid any more rumors. I landed back home around noon. It was the weekend. I planned to call Finn to meet, but his phone was off. I hesitated for a moment, then took a taxi to the home we had once shared. I still had the key from when I left. If he was there, we could talk. If not, I'd just leave the key. As I reached the door, I heard the sound of a man and a woman laughing and flirting inside. I knocked. No answer. Thinking I had misheard, I used my key to open the door. A lavish lunch was spread across the dining table, but no one was there. The sounds were coming from the bedroom. I walked towards it automatically. When I reached the bedroom door, the scene before me made my jaw drop. Fiona, wearing nothing but a lace bra, was wrestling playfully with Finn on the bed. Oh, Finn, you're so naughty. I just wanted you to see if it looked good, I didn't say you could get on the bed. When they saw me standing in the doorway, Fiona shrieked and pulled the covers over herself. Finn's expression froze. He straightened his clothes and climbed sheepishly off the bed. Why did you just barge in without knocking? Don't you have any manners? I gave him a cold, indifferent look. You're right. Some people certainly don't treat themselves as outsiders, do they? Barging into someone else's home, cuddling with someone else's husband, and even showing off in underwear that someone else's wife threw away. Such poor manners. You. Finn's face turned the color of raw liver. I had no time for his games. The divorce papers. Did you sign them? His face was a wooden mask. No. Since Fiona is here today, let's all sit down and have a proper talk first. Fine by me. What perfect timing, lunch is already made. I haven't eaten, so I'll help myself. I washed my hands and sat down at the table, digging in without ceremony. Finn and a newly dressed Fiona sat down awkwardly. Fiona glanced at me and spoke timidly. I'm sorry, Celeste. Finn said you were abroad and there was no one to cook for him, so I came over to help. Nothing to be sorry for. I'm divorcing him to make room for you too. I just didn't realize you were in such a hurry. And you really don't mind, do you? Trying on my old underwear. Couldn't Finn even buy you a new set? Fiona lowered her head in embarrassment. Finn immediately placed a protective hand on her shoulder. When did you become so aggressive? Why are you always targeting Fiona? I've looked at the divorce agreement. I have no issue with most of it, but I don't agree with the division of assets. Why should we split everything 50-50? That's not fair. You were the one who had an affair with Shing first. You're the one at fault. You should leave with nothing. Hearing him utter those shameless words, I was completely stunned. I had originally thought that since he was the one who cheated, my offer to split our assets evenly was a generous concession, a nod to our 5 years together. I never imagined he would have the audacity to demand I walk away with nothing. This man was constantly finding new ways to lower my opinion of him. But now that I knew his true colors, my anger subsided, replaced by a cold resolve. So that's what this is about. It doesn't matter if you disagree. I'll just file for a contested divorce. The court can decide how the assets should be divided. Huh. I see now. You're not in a hurry to get a divorce, you just want to fight me for the money. If you really wanted out, you wouldn't care about these assets. I was truly disgusted by his petty, grubby mindset. I was the sole heiress of its incorporation. If not for my foolish charade for the sake of love, these few million in assets would be pocket change. I wouldn't blink at 100 million. Before I came back, I had even considered walking away with nothing just to get the divorce over with quickly. But at this moment, his repeated betrayals and shamelessness had thoroughly enraged me. I had to fight for my share. The apartment we lived in, the new car he drove, the company's profits and our savings, they were all built on the back of our shared struggle, from living under a bridge and eating stale bread. They meant little to me, but they were everything to him. Some people never learn until they feel the pain themselves. My constant concessions had only emboldened him. Fine. I would no longer be merciful. Finn, I wouldn't just take back what was mine. I would expose every rotten thing you did to me and ruin you. I had no desire to waste another word on them. I tossed my key on the table and walked out. I took a taxi back to the Tsin family villa, a home I hadn't seen in years. The moment I saw my father, I fell into his arms and sobbed. Dad, I was wrong. I was so wrong. Please don't disown me. My father took off his reading glasses and wiped away his own tears, gently patting my back. It's good to be home. No matter what you've done, you'll always be my daughter. I told him everything about my life with Finn. My father was so furious he smashed his favorite crystal glass on the floor. Humph. I told you from the beginning that men like him, social climbers from the bottom, are all ungrateful wolves. But you wouldn't listen. After calming down, my father's voice turned icy. Silly girl, why do you think Finn's company suddenly took off these past 2 years? Do you really think it was his own effort? It's time I told you the truth. I was the one who secretly gave him those big contracts, who connected him with those excellent suppliers. Without my help, his company would have gone bankrupt long ago. And look at him now. The moment he has a little success, the ungrateful bastard starts acting up. Don't you worry. As soon as I pull those resources, he'll be on his knees begging you in a few months. All I ask is that this time, you absolutely do not soften. Do you understand? I was stunned. It all made sense now. Why his company had struggled for 3 years and then suddenly taken off 2 years ago, landing huge contracts and making millions. It was all my father's doing. In that case, I didn't need any elaborate revenge scheme. All I had to do was sit back and watch him self-destruct. Dad, I understand. I will never be as foolish as I was 5 years ago. Give me a position. He wronged me in our marriage. In the world of business, I will annihilate him. My father smiled with satisfaction. Now that's my daughter. Come on, I'll take you to the group right now. I'll announce your appointment as the executive CEO of Moonlight Group. I'll personally guide you as you take over the business. That day, my first act as head of Moonlight Group was to sever all ties with the suppliers and sales channels that were under our control. My second act was to have our corporate legal team file a divorce lawsuit against Finn on my behalf. The next day, Finn felt the impact of both actions simultaneously. I was sipping coffee in the CEO's office, reviewing contracts, when his call came in. I answered without hesitation. Mr. Wei? To what do I owe the pleasure? His voice on the other end was a mixture of confusion and fury. Celeste. What the hell is going on? Why did I receive termination agreements from several suppliers and distributors this morning, all bearing the Moonlight Group seal and your signature? And I also received a divorce lawsuit notice this morning. Why is Moonlight Group's legal team handling it? What is your relationship with Moonlight Group? He was finally starting to suspect. I laughed coldly. You're a little slow on the uptake, aren't you, Mr. Wei? It's been 5 years, and you're only just asking me this? Moonlight Group is one of the largest corporations in the city, and your direct competitor. Did you never once bother to research its history? It's always been public knowledge that the founder, Sun Ruhai, named the company after his beloved daughter. Do you really think there's another Celeste Sun in this city? Now you know. Sun Ruhai is my father. And those suppliers and distributors? They were always subsidiaries of Moonlight Group. My father diverted our resources to help your company grow. Now, I brought them back under direct corporate control. Their contracts with you happen to be up for renewal. I chose not to renew. So, Mr. Wei, is there anything else you don't understand? My words left him speechless. No. This is impossible. It's not true. I don't believe it. He muttered to himself in a frantic stream, then abruptly hung up. For the next 3 months, Finn didn't contact me, whether out of guilt or resentment, I didn't know or care. But 3 months was enough time for many things to come to a conclusion. First, the divorce was finalized. With ample evidence of his affair with Fiona, the asset division was heavily in my favor. Not that I cared about the money, it was the principle of the thing. Shortly after, Finn's company went bankrupt. He was left with nothing but 5 million in debt. I heard that as soon as his company collapsed, Fiona used the excuse of her ex-boyfriend from abroad wanting her back and fled the country. Finn had truly lost everything. Or perhaps, he had never really lost anything at all. None of it was ever rightfully his. It was the good fortune of meeting me that had allowed him to have it all. And it was the misfortune of losing me that made him lose it all again. I heard he had returned to his rural hometown to escape his creditors, but I paid it no mind. After 2 years as a housewife, I was out of touch with the world. I needed to focus on rebuilding what I had lost. One evening, just as I was about to leave work, Julian Xing, who had been mercifully absent for a while, appeared at my office door. I frowned. How did you get in? I didn't hear the front desk announce you. TSK, you underestimate my charming face. I am the CEO of Xingshi Group, after all. I just mentioned I was here to discuss business with CEO Tsin, and your receptionist trusted me completely. I rolled my eyes. It seems I need to retrain my front desk and security. From now on, anyone with the surname Xing requires my special permission to enter. So, Mr. Xing, what brings you here? I've been incredibly busy lately. He plopped down on the sofa across from me. My, Ms. Tsin, you have more presence than your old man. Look at this decor, this furniture. Definitely not your father's style. Do you have a point? If not, get out. He straightened his suit and sat up properly. Then, from behind his back, he produced a bouquet. Not of roses, but of gleaming gold bars, fashioned into the shape of flowers. I was utterly dumbfounded. Did anyone actually find this tacky, nouveau riche style attractive? He handed it to me. It was so heavy, at least 20 pounds, that I fumbled it, and it crashed onto my desk, nearly denting the new wood. I gritted my teeth. Julian Xing, are you insane? Waving all this gold around. Are you trying to get your hands chopped off? He pouted. Who would dare rob me? Fine, I suspected you might not appreciate my extravagant style. So, I have a backup plan. Look. With a flourish, he pulled a handful of jewelry boxes from his pocket and opened them one by one like a street vendor showing off his wares. My desk was suddenly covered in a dazzling array of rubies, sapphires, emeralds, and diamonds. The glittering jewels nearly blinded me. Julian, what is this? Are you opening a jewelry store in my office? Just pick one. With so many options, one of them must appeal to you. I looked at him and took a deep breath. You're being suspiciously generous. What do you want? An investment? A partnership? He suddenly looked offended. Honestly, you're going to be the death of me. Do I look like someone who needs investors or partners? What I want is you. Say yes. Be my girlfriend. Please? Ugh, this. I really have to think about it. I mean, I am single now, but your past reputation is rather extensive. I was trying to get rid of him, but he clung to me stubbornly, refusing to leave even after office hours. Exasperated, I finally gave in and temporarily agreed. He then insisted I choose a piece of jewelry. A pair of small, delicate pink diamond earrings caught my eye, so I kept them. That evening, Julian took me to dinner at a starlit rooftop restaurant. He told me what had happened after I left Phuket. He had intended to follow me back, but a swarm of paparazzi had cornered him at the hotel. He changed his plans and fled to Europe to wait out the storm, staying there for 3 months. Ever the businessman, he hadn't been idle. He had secured a major investment and opened a European branch for Shengshire Group. I had to admit, Julian had changed a lot. He was no longer the thoughtless playboy I remembered. He was mature, focused, and incredibly talented. We ate, drank wine, and for the first time, had a genuinely enjoyable conversation. It got late, and we were both a little tipsy, so we called for a designated driver. As we stumbled into the car, the driver suddenly pulled a knife and pressed it to my throat. "Don't move, or I'll kill her." The alcohol haze vanished instantly. The driver was Finn. Julian immediately sobered, his voice calm and steady as he tried to reason with Finn, whose eyes glinted with a dangerous light. "What do you want? Money? I don't have cash, but I have 10 gold bars in that bag in the back seat. They're worth almost 3 million. They're all yours." He coolly reached back and retrieved the bag with the gold bar bouquet. Finn's eyes widened with greed. Then he glared at me, his voice a raw, hateful rasp. "Celeste, you played me for a fool. If I had known you were Tsun Ruhai's daughter from the start, I never would have ended up like this. Finn, you were the one who cheated on me for another woman. What does my father have to do with any of it?" A vicious light flashed in his eyes, and he pressed the knife harder against my neck. "Shut up. It's not fair. Why did I have to work so hard to build a business when I had a billionaire for a father-in-law? Why did you people let me have everything? Only to snatch it all away overnight? It's not fair. I have nothing now. If my life is ruined, you're not getting away either. I'm going to kill you." Aya. He lost control, his eyes red with madness as he lunged with the knife. In that split second, Julian, without a thought for his own safety, grabbed the blade with his bare hand. They struggled for the knife. Blood poured from Julian's hand. I screamed for help. The parking lot security guards rushed over and quickly subdued Finn. The police were called, and I took Julian to the hospital. Luckily, his wound wasn't deep. After it was bandaged, we went to the police station to give our statements. Finn was charged with armed robbery and attempted murder and was later sentenced to life in prison. The day he was officially incarcerated, Julian proposed. I accepted. On New Year's Day, Julian and I had our grand wedding. As I stood on the stage, watching my handsome groom walk towards me, I felt a disorienting wave of déjà vu. I remembered my cancelled wedding with Finn 6 months prior. At this exact moment, Finn had taken a call and unilaterally cancelled everything, leaving me alone to face the storm of gossip and pity. A knot of fear tightened in my chest, my panic visible on my face. The trauma of that day had left a deep, indelible scar. Just then, a pair of warm, strong hands took mine, pulling me into a firm embrace. Julian leaned in and whispered in my ear, his voice gentle and resolute. "Don't be afraid. I'm here. I will never, ever leave you alone." My heart filled with gratitude, and I melted into his arms. The master of ceremonies had to awkwardly clear his throat to remind us to exchange rings and vows. We laughed, pulled apart, and completed the ceremony, sealing it with a passionate kiss. In the audience, my father and Julian's parents smiled at each other, their faces filled with blessing. My father sighed. If Celeste hadn't been so willful a few years ago, she would have married Julian then. But after all this time, they still found their way back to each other. It just proves my judgment was right all along. Julian's father laughed. "It's a good thing you didn't marry her to my son back then. He was a wild man, chasing after internet celebrities. He had no intention of settling down. He nearly gave his mother and me a heart attack." The two fathers shared a laugh. The next day, our wedding, the union of the Shengshire and Moonlight groups, was on the front page of every major newspaper. A year later, I gave birth to a beautiful pair of fraternal twins. And Julian proved, time and again, to be a man worthy of my trust. I suppose everyone makes mistakes. The important thing is to learn from them. Julian and I were living proof of that. Two people, weathered by time, who had corrected our own immaturities and flaws, and finally found our way back to each other. We met again at the right time as the right people. I suppose that's what you call fate. The end.